Okay, shalom, shalom. Kwam Yasha'Allah. Koholoyim la Yahweh. Bahashim Yahweh Shai. Bahashim. Kahakodash. For the honors to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well, and that by the Spirit taught us this beautiful truth. And just want to say the water to all the H.I.M and Akwaf that's out here sincerely keeping the laws, the statutes, and commandments of Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai to the best of their ability. This is Yachanan Nawach. Just coming at you with another quick morning lesson. And I want to, I was reading into this article. It's in Face to Face Africa, but it says 230 years after her daring escape from President Washington's enslavement, Ona Judge will be remembered annually on May 21st. So, another women's worship, holiday for you Negroes to celebrate, you know what I'm saying? We're not getting into any of that. But, what I found interesting, though, was, some of the comments, because these people are very hateful towards you so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, which you are Israelites. You're not fucking Africans, man. You don't come from Ham. When you look up Ham, matter of fact, let's do that real quick. We go into this every now and then. Ham is the progenitor of the dark races, but not the Negroes. Let me put this in. Ham. Zondervan Bible Dictionary. See? And there's plenty of information on this. These people know that everyone with melanin is not the same people, but you doofy ass Americans, you don't look into anything. You just believe everything that your government tells you. And I get it, you got a lot of internet information now, where people are kind of looking into things, but you Americans, you really believe that there's a such thing as white people and that there's a such thing as black people, which those are just social constructs. No one is actually those colors. You got different shades of red people, which are mainly Edomites, the so-called white race that's calling themselves white. And you got different shades of brown people, and they could be Hamites, they can be Elamites, they can be Moabites, they can be Ammonite. Everyone has melanin except for this man, Esau Edom, the so-called white man. So let's get this though. It says Ham, right? The youngest son of Noah, because when the flood went down, the earth was repopulated through those men. Shem, Ham, Japheth, right? We come from Shem. It says the youngest son of Noah, born probably about 96 years before the flood, and one of 8 persons to live through the flood. He became the progenitor of the dark races, not the Negroes, but the Egyptians, Ethiopians, Libyans, and Canaanites. So everyone with melanin is not the same people. That's just common fucking sense, bro. But they lump you so-called blacks. And we say so-called blacks because you're not actually black. We're different shades of brown. Those are social constructs that these Edomites came up with, right? So you have to, know that common information, to bypass, because these are stumbling blocks that Esau set up. The Lord has set up the men of the Lord, the prophets, to show you the lies and the truth. Because Esau's a fucking liar. He's a big hypocrite. But anyway, we get some of the story, though. It was a pretty interesting story. It says, as a personal slave to Martha Washington over 200 years ago. So this was George Washington's wife. Oni, sometimes written as Ona Judge, had been treated well compared to other slaves in Philadelphia. And they're going to always push that. I seen somebody actually in the comment boards basically saying that, she left that beautiful life to try and go free. As if freedom doesn't matter. It says, according to accounts, she was given the best of clothes, treated to social events, and even slept in her own room. Other accounts state that she could walk the town on her own, running errands and exploring in her free time. So, you see, this Edomites, they feel like because you can do, and this basically, you niggas is no different today, because you can get in your car, you can go here, you can go there, you can go here, you can go there. Then these so-called white people will tell you that America is the best place in the world, and you should be appreciative of us actually bringing you here and giving you civilization, introducing you to religion, our white Jesus, which is a goddamn idol, bro. Anyway, it says she took the courageous steps to, let me see, it says other accounts state that she could walk the town on her own, running errands and exploring in her own free time. But knowing that the above was not worth her freedom, she took the courageous steps to escape from George Washington's house in Philadelphia, 1796, and fled to New Hampshire. Well, if it was so beautiful, why the fuck did she leave? These Edomites, they're trying to frame it like these people, you know. Come on, man. Ain't no telling what they was doing to that lady. Her escape shocked the first family, as they thought that she was treated well and wouldn't need to flee. See? Now, mind you, this is your president. This is you so-called white people's, your laws, your constitutions. And this motherfucker, he was breaking the law. He's going to go on to say it in the story. It says, though her courageous actions, she chose to defy the president of the United States when she was a young woman and secured her own freedom. Jed Levin, chief historian at Independence National Historical Park, was quoted by Philly Voice. Now, we know that Trump is trying to scrub all those museums, you know, of this type of information. And why are they doing that? Because shameful spewing is upon the act. Matter of fact, let's get that real quick. They're ashamed of their, you know, of their country's founding, so to speak. I say ride with it, shit. You know, you might as well. Hey, this is your kingdom. This is your kingdom, man. You should be, you know, prideful of what you've done. You used to be. This is Habakkuk 2:16. Let me see how it reads in the Amplified. It says, you will be filled with disgrace instead of honor. Now drink and expose your own nakedness. The cup of wrath in the Lord's right hand will come around to you, O destroyer, and utter disgrace will be on your own glory. Matter of fact, let me read it in the KJV. Thou art filled with shame for glory. See? They're shameful of their glory now. Drink thou also, and let thy foreskin be uncovered, because the Lord is revealing these people. That's 2 Thessalonians 2:3. A lot of information is starting to come out on Esau, and people are starting to see that this man is the problem in the planet. It says, the cup of the Lord's right hand shall be turned unto thee. And that's what we're seeing happening. And shameful spewing shall be on thy glory. See? So let's go back into the article, because they're ashamed of this of their history now. They used to be prideful of it. You know, you got these keyboard warriors. They go in there, they talk shit, but they ain't gonna, you know, you get to talking to them face to face. They don't want nothing to do with that. They don't want nothing to do with that, man. They tired of it. That's why they'll tell you it was long ago. Leave it alone. But here you go. You're about to celebrate your 250th anniversary of this bullshit. So if it was so long ago and you want us to just leave that history alone, why don't you just leave your 1776 alone? Why don't you leave your 4th of July alone? You know what I'm saying? But they're not going to do that because these people are hypocritical. Okay, it says, her escape shocked the first family as they thought that she was treated well and wouldn't need to flee. Through her own courageous actions. Okay, we read that part already. Judge, as one of 9 people enslaved by Washington during his presidency in Philadelphia, died several attempts from the first presidents to recapture her. So he was trying to run her down. Nearly 230 years later, a judge's daring action. Now, you know how many men went through this, but of course, you know, they give you that women worship. You know, here you go. You got, I think, what is this? I think it's Sunday. I think the Mother's Day holiday is Sunday. I think it is, if I'm not mistaken. You know, they want you to worship these women, man. I'm not mentioning Happy Mother's Day to no goddamn body. Fuck that, man. You know? It says nearly 230 years later, Judge's daring actions is officially being honored by the city of Philadelphia. Philadelphia City Council recently adopted a resolution introduced by council member Cindy Bass. There you go. Yes, some woman. She probably a nigga woman. You know, I ain't gonna even go off into it anyway, though. But, you know, because they all about the woman. You know how many men, you know, so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native American men that really got tortured? Because, see, you women, you've been, yeah, you was a part of slavery, too, don't get me wrong. But you didn't catch it as bad as the men. You didn't catch it as bad as Jake. Jake was made an example of. You know, Jake was the one that was being tarred and feathered and tied to damn horses and ripped apart and being beaten to the, to damn near death. Jake was the ones that was doing all that hard ass work. You know, I get it. You would have to go to the fields and pick and do little shit like that. You know, you was doing laundry, doing some cooking, shit like that. I'm talking about the backs of Jake, though. So-called black men and you so-called black women, You have been a part of the process of destroying us ever since this going back to this time period. You've been down with helping this man destroy us. So anyway, that's why, man, we just waiting to get the fuck out of here. And you women, hey, you're gonna fall with this man, because he's falling. Okay, it says this comes as President Donald Trump's administration makes moves to rewrite Washington's role in upholding slavery in Philadelphia. See, they want to whitewash. They want to, they don't want to hear that shit no more. They don't want to, they want to teach your kids that they were never slaves. And if it was up to them and they had enough time, they would actually do that. Because they're the ones that's in control of the curriculum. They're the ones that's in control of the history that our children learn. Okay, it says, since 2003, Avenging the Ancestors Coalition has been recognizing Judge on May 21st. The coalition is now excited and grateful to the city council for making the recognition official. Okay, it says, last month, the Citizens Group, which owns Philadelphia Magazine and Philadelphia Citizen, began a petition to recognize Judge on May 21st. They are requesting support from ATAC, founder Michael Cord, and Carl Stingley, founding member of Ona Judge Coalition, given the ATAC's continuous remembrance of Judge. We therefore enthusiastically, energetically, and aesthetically support the creation of an official local, state, and federal Ona Judge Day. Man, I ain't celebrating none of that shit. The fuck out of here. Anyway, let's get into some of the story, because it was kind of interesting, though. Says she was born in 1773 at Mount Vernon, the Washington, Virginia plantation, to an indentured servant named Andrew Judge and a slave named Betty. So I'm not who the indentured servant was. Anyway, raised as a slave, Judge began serving the personal attendant to Martha Washington at the age of 10 at the Virginia mansion. See? So you in there, you serving the first lady. When Washington was elected president, the family moved to New York and then to Philadelphia. Judge lived with them in both areas. In Philadelphia, varying account states that the Washingtons treated her well. Nevertheless, they were ready to give her out to their granddaughter, Elizabeth Cutsis, as a wedding present. See what the description talks about that. They gave us as gifts, roughly paraphrasing. And that's what these Edomites would do. Here you go. They would just, oh, I got you a gift. Little nigger woman, I got you a little, as if you was, a pet pony or something, man. It says, this angered Judge. Matter of fact, let me see if I can find that scripture. Okay, this is Joel, chapter 3. I'm gonna read it in the Amplified, not the exact one that I wanted, but this is Joel 3:3, Amplified version. Says, they have also cast lots for my people. Matter of fact, let me start at verse 2. It says, I will gather together all the Gentile nations that were hostile to my people and bring them down to the valley of Jehoshaphat. The Lord has judged. And there I will deal with them and enter into judgment with them there for their treatment of my people, my inheritance, Israel. And that's you so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. See, these people have no idea who they really have tortured like this, man, for these centuries, man. It says, whom they have scattered among the nations, and because they have encroached on my land and divided it up. They have also cast lots for my people and have traded a boy for a prostitute and have sold a girl for wine that they may drink. This has been Esau's attitude, man. In all these nations as well. It says, moreover, what are you to me, O Tyre and Sidon, and all the 5 small regions of Philistia? Will you pay me back for something I have supposedly done to you? Even if you do pay me back, I will swiftly and speedily return your deed or retaliation on your own head, because you have taken my silver and my gold and have carried away my precious treasures to your temples and palaces. I have sold the children of Judah and the children of Jerusalem to the Greeks, so that you may send them far away from their territory. Behold, I am going to stir them up from the place where you have sold them and return them to their land, and I shall return your action or retaliation on your head, on your own head. Also, I will sell your daughters, your sons and daughters, into the hands of the children of Judah, and they will sell them to the Sabians, to the distant nations, for the Lord has spoken. See? And this is what's coming to you Edomites, man. Because, what they say, this is modern day Yemen. The Sabians were involved primarily in a lucrative spice trade. Okay, but anyway, let me go to Revelation, because this is what's coming to you Edomites right here. And we're patiently and faithfully waiting on it. Revelation 9, 13 and 9, because I posted that scripture in the comment boards, and them Edomites, and they're going nuts off of that one comment. These motherfuckers, bro, is fucking doing X's in the skies, bro. This Mr. Bullshit, man. These fucking Edomites gotta go, bro. Slakia, y'all. Revelation 13 and 9, if any man have an ear, let him hear. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience and the faith of the saints. So we're patiently and faithfully waiting on this, man. We're waiting on it, man. We can't fucking wait, bro. Sick of you motherfuckers, man. Like, straight up, man. Okay. It says, this angered Judge, because they wanted to give it to, after serving Martha, they wanted to give the chick to the granddaughter. It says, and that angered her, who realized that she was just a piece of property to the Washingtons. Well, you should have known that already, bitch. And had no say on what she would be doing in the future. Thus, she decided to flee. After gathering her belongings and sending them to a member of Philadelphia's free black community, Judge escaped on May 21st, 1796, where the Washingtons went to dinner. She was smuggled on board a ship sailing to Portsmouth, New Hampshire, where she taught herself to read and write and embrace Christianity. And you know when she embraced Christianity? She embraced sweet white baby Jesus, which was a goddamn idol. She might as well have stayed with the Washingtons. As already mentioned, her escape caught the Washingtons by surprise, and they did all they could to get her back. Yeah, Esau not going for that. They placed an advertisement in the Pennsylvania Gazette, a colonial newspaper printed in Philadelphia, offering a $10 reward for her return. $10 back then, goddamn, bro. Ain't no telling how much. $10. Let me see. Let's try this. $10 in 1796 would be what today? Let's see. That's a lot of money. They wanted her ass back. Let's see. Okay, so $10 back. No, hold on. That's not right. Let's see this one. Well, let's look at him, but it's saying about $400. Still there, but they wanted her ass back. Anyways, during the period before her escape, Pennsylvania was establishing a process to emancipate its slaves. Its 1780 Gradual Abolition Act stated that slaves held in Pennsylvania for more than 6 months could free themselves. But Washington deliberately, check this out, he broke the law. But Washington deliberately rotated his slaves while he was president, sending them back to Mount Vernon or New Jersey for a few days so they would remain enslaved. This was a complete violation of law and had denied Judge her freedom. So what's going on with these Edomites, man? That shit, man. I'm just sitting here looking at this guy just doing damn tic-tac-toe in the skies, bro. And it's just so evident now. They just don't even care. They just blatantly doing this shit. Anyway. Following her sudden disappearance and the search for her, Judge was found in New Hampshire by Elizabeth Langdon, a family friend of the Washingtons, who reported her location. President George Washington sent his men to get her back, violating the Fugitive Slave Act that required him to provide proof of ownership in front of a court before chasing her. Yep. Joseph Whipple, the Portsmouth collector of customs, met with Judge, who promised to return to the Washingtons under the conditions that she would be set free upon their deaths. President George Washington refused this arrangement when he was told, thinking that Judge was just being ungrateful. Yeah, bitch, we taking care of you. These people, man. 2 years later, Judge married a sailor called Jack Staines and had a child, but the Washingtons had still not given up on getting her back. See, they still after her. So they sent their nephew, Burwell Bassett, who had traveled to Portsmouth on business, to get her back, this time with force. Bassett first approached Judge with the request to return, but she refused. He later told the Langdons of plans to kidnap Judge and her child, but Langdons warned Judge about this, and she escaped with her family to Greenland, New Hampshire, where she remained until she died in 1848. Following the death of George and Martha Washington, Judge's ownership, along with that of her children, transferred to the Curtis estate. So still, you still, chattel slavery, bro. Forcing Judge to live the rest of her life as a fugitive slave, but this never bothered her. Today, Judge's story is featured at the President's House site, which opened in 2010 to memorialize Judge and 8 other people enslaved. Anyway, you see it, you get it, man. But see, these Edomites, man, that's the thought pattern of these people, and this is the type of history that Donald Trump is trying to erase right now. And again, when you go into the comment boards, you can see that perpetual hatred that these so-called white people have for Jake. They in there talking all kinds of shit. So I left that one scripture, and it garnered some garnered a little bit of attention there, to these, because they see them scriptures cut. You got some, well, that's not gonna have you. All right, well, but it cut your ass enough to try and post a comment about it. Anyway, Ezekiel 35:5, and again, hey, you niggas that's about to celebrate 4th of July this year, which you should never be celebrating that shit. And niggas gonna go out and they gonna celebrate this shit. You gonna celebrate the 250th year of your enslavement right along with this, man. Crazy work, bro. That's how fucked up Jake is, though. Ezekiel 35:5, because thou hast had a perpetual hatred and hast shed the blood of the children of Israel by the force of the sword in the time of their calamity, in the time that their iniquity had an end. Therefore, as I live, saith the Lord God Yahweh, I will prepare thee unto blood, and blood shall pursue thee. Since thou hast not hated blood, even blood shall pursue thee. Yeah, man. So, hey, the Lord is about to turn your country into a bloody situation, man. When them thermonuclear missiles hit this place, and it's all building up, man. So I just wanted to just touch on that real quick. Again, could have went into some of the comments. Let's see here. Yeah, so Thomas Jefferson. Yeah, that nigga had over 600 slaves, and they only freed 7 of them in his lifetime. Yep, but here you go. I don't know, and this appears to be on. If it wasn't for him, there wouldn't have been a Louisiana Purchase, which greatly increased the size and wealth of the country. So they basically we don't give a fuck how many slaves he owned. He brought about the Louisiana Purchase. Yeah, it's a lot going on. Yep. Somebody says we better read about it now, because this, like all other history like this, will be swept away. That's what they're trying to do. Yep. What's the slogan? Can't we all just move on? Yeah, that's the way they really think. They want you to just, forget about this shit. Yep. So when this is I posted on there. I posted that Revelation 13:10. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. And somebody says, if your holy book tells you how to treat your slaves, then your holy book is disqualified as a source for moral conduct. And then somebody replied, the holy scriptures also say, masters, know that you also have a master. You should try reading the words before you disqualify it. And somebody says, how many times has it been revised to fit someone else's narrative? Well, you so-called white people, you're the ones that, you whitewashed the images and gave us, your idolatrous white Jesus, man. Yeah, so it is what it is. They in here talking about their 1776, but we gonna see, man. You know what I'm saying? We'll see soon. We gonna see. I think the Lord got something real. I think the Lord got something set up real beautiful for you people on your 250th birthday. We'll see. Yeah. Anyway, we'll end out there. Pray that the lesson was edifying. With that, Kwame, all in a bubble ball.